The galaxy was very old. Too old. Empires had risen and fallen so many times that history itself felt tired. Worlds burned, rebuilt, then burned again. Most species no longer believed in hope. They believed only in delay, how long they could survive before the end finally reached them. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from famous trade routes and shining capital worlds, a small alliance was dying. Their star was failing. Their defenses were broken. And their enemy was coming. The Keeler Union had fought for 7 long cycles. At first, they believed strength would save them. Then they believed allies would. Now, they believed in nothing. Their council chamber was dark. Not because the lights were broken, but because no one bothered to turn them on anymore. Screens showed burning colonies. Silent ships drifting without power. Entire worlds marked in red, lost. "This is the final report," one officer said quietly. "Enemy fleets will reach our core system in less than 1 rotation." No one replied. They all knew what that meant. Extinction. The Keeler were not warriors by nature. They were builders, thinkers, diplomats. Their cities were grown, not built. Their ships were designed for travel, not war. Against the enemy, an ancient, relentless force that consumed entire civilizations, they never stood a chance. "We have one option left," the oldest council member said at last. All eyes turned to him. He hesitated. Not because the idea was secret. But because it was shameful. "A distress call," he said. "To an unaligned species." Murmurs filled the chamber. "You mean them?" someone asked. "Yes," he replied. "The ones from the outer spiral. The newcomers." A pause. Then laughter. Not loud. Not cruel. Tired laughter. "The humans," another council member said. "They barely survived their own wars. Their technology is crude. Their ships are inefficient. Their emotions unstable. They fight each other more than anyone else," a general added. "Why would they help us?" No one disagreed. Humanity was known across the galaxy, but not with respect. They were called loud. Violent. Short-lived. They had no ancient empire. No galaxy-wide alliance. No legendary victories against extinction-level threats. Just one planet. One messy history. And too many internal conflicts. Sending a distress call to Earth felt less like strategy and more like desperation. Which, unfortunately, was all they had left. "If we do nothing," the elder said softly, "we die. If we send the call, we still die. But at least the galaxy will know we tried." Silence returned. Slowly, one by one, heads nodded. The decision was made. The signal was prepared. It was not dramatic. No long message. No speeches. Just coordinates, threat data, and one simple sentence translated into hundreds of known languages. "We are under attack. We cannot survive alone." The officer's hand hovered over the console. "Once sent," he said, "there is no taking it back." "Send it," the elder replied. The signal launched into the void. Light carried it across empty space, past dying stars, through forgotten systems. It passed civilizations that ignored it. Empires that filtered it out as background noise. Powers that chose not to answer. Eventually, it reached a small yellow star. A quiet system. One planet marked in old records as Earth. On Earth, it was night over most of the planet. Cities slept. Oceans moved in darkness. Satellites drifted silently above clouds. Then the signal arrived. Human systems detected it instantly. Deep space monitors flagged it as unknown. Military networks isolated it. Scientists confirmed it was not a glitch. Within seconds, the message reached human leadership. No panic followed. No celebration. Just silence. Men and women studied the data. Enemy signatures. Fleet sizes. Estimated losses. The numbers were impossible. Anyone else would have deleted the file and moved on. Humanity did not. A simple question was asked. Are they asking for help? The answer was clear. Yes. No alliance existed. No treaty bound them. No benefit was promised. Helping would cost resources. Ships. Lives. Still, the room did not argue. A quiet decision formed, not from fear, not from pride, but from something older. Something deeply human. They sent the call, one voice said. Because no one else would answer. A pause. Then another voice spoke. Then we will. The response was prepared. No long message. No conditions. Just 3 words, sent back across the stars. Signal received. Stand by. Far away, in a dying system, the Keeler consoles flickered. An officer froze. Council, we got a reply. The elder looked up slowly. From who? The officer swallowed. Earth. Hope returned to the chamber. Fear followed right behind it. Because if humans were answering, then whatever they were bringing might change the galaxy forever. The reply from Earth spread faster than the distress call itself. Across the galaxy, monitoring stations picked it up. Data relays forwarded it. Artificial minds translated it. In less than 1 cycle, the news reached the great halls of power. Humans had answered. At first, many believed it was an error. In the High Council of the Valorian Combine, a tall alien diplomat stared at the display and blinked slowly. Earth, he said. You mean the human world? Yes, the analyst replied. Signal confirmed. No encryption tricks. No delay. They answered immediately. A low sound filled the chamber. Laughter. Not joy. Not humor. Disbelief. They must be curious, one counselor said. Like children touching fire. Or they want attention, another added. Humans crave notice. The council moved on to other matters. In the Iron Dominion, a militarized empire that respected only force, the reaction was worse. Humans, a warlord snarled. They will break in the first battle. Their ships are fragile. Their shields inefficient. Their doctrine relies too much on emotion. He dismissed the report with a clawed hand. Do not waste my time. Even among neutral observers, the tone was the same. Humanity was known, but not feared. They were loud in debates. Fast in innovation. Reckless in conflict. Their history showed endless wars against themselves. Civilizations that fought their own kind rarely survived galactic war. The galaxy had a simple rule. If you cannot unite your own world, you cannot protect another. The Keeler Union felt that judgment deeply. Inside their council chamber, hope began to feel dangerous. They answered too quickly, one officer said. They did not ask questions. They did not negotiate. Perhaps they do not understand the scale, another whispered. Enemy fleets were still coming. Massive. Silent. Unstoppable. Species with far greater power had failed to stop them. What chance did humans have? Meanwhile, on Earth, the reaction was very different. There were no public speeches. No broadcasts. No heroic announcements. Human leaders met behind closed doors. Military commanders, scientists, engineers, historians. The room was tense, but calm. The enemy data played on large screens. Weapon signatures. Battle footage from destroyed alien fleets. Recorded screams cut short by static. Some officers clenched their fists. Some looked away. "This is not a war," one analyst said. "This is extermination." "Yes," a general replied. "Which means standard war rules do not apply." Human history experts spoke next. They did not talk about victories. They talked about losses. Earth had nearly destroyed itself more than once. Nuclear close calls. Biological disasters. Climate collapse. Internal wars. Humanity knew extinction well. That was why they recognized it. "We are not stronger than the galaxy," a civilian advisor said. "But we are familiar with impossible odds." A silence followed. Then a question. "Can we win?" No one answered right away. Finally, the general spoke. "No," he said honestly. "Not in the way the galaxy expects." No one argued. "Then why respond?" another asked. The general looked at the screen again. "Because someone has to stand in front first." Plans began to form. Not fast. Not flashy. Humanity did not mobilize like heroes from stories. They mobilized like survivors. Shipyards changed schedules. Old vessels were pulled from storage. Experimental systems were unlocked. Military reserves were quietly activated. Across Earth, soldiers were recalled, not with speeches, but with simple messages. "You are needed." No one was told they would be heroes. They were told the truth. This mission would be costly. This mission might fail. This mission might never be remembered kindly. Still, the responses came back. "Understood." "On my way." "I'm ready." Out in space, alien observers noticed movement. Human ships leaving orbit. Fleets forming without ceremony. No banners. No symbols. Just dark hulls and cold engines. Confusion followed. "Where are their diplomats?" one observer asked. "They sent none." "Where are their demands?" "There are none." "Where is their warning?" "There is none." The galaxy grew uneasy. Humans were not behaving like a weak species trying to prove itself. They were behaving like a species that had already accepted loss. In the Keeler system, the enemy's first scouts entered sensor range. Time was running out. The Elder stared at the star map, at the thin human line slowly approaching from distant space. "Do you think they know what they are walking into?" a council member asked. The Elder answered quietly. "I fear they do." Far away, the human fleet crossed the last safe jump point. No messages were sent. No threats were made. The galaxy waited, half amused, half nervous. Because laughter fades quickly. When silence moves toward war. The galaxy expected noise. That was the strange part. When most species prepared for war, they announced it. They made speeches. They warned enemies. They showed power so fear could do half the fighting. Humanity did none of that. There were no public threats. No grand declarations. No glowing symbols painted on ship hulls. Just movement. Quiet, constant movement. Deep inside Earth's military archives, systems long untouched came online. Files marked obsolete were opened again. Not because they were outdated, but because they were dangerous. Human planners did not ask how to win fast. They asked how to hold the line. Humanity knew something the galaxy did not. Winning was not always required. Survival sometimes was enough. Old doctrines were studied. Not from times of glory, but from times of collapse. Wars humans barely survived. Battles where retreat meant extinction. One document was shared across command networks. It had no heroic title. Just a simple line. Delay. Absorb. Adapt. Human shipyards worked without pause. They did not build beautiful ships. They built heavy ones. Ugly ones. Ships layered with armor instead of style. Engines designed to keep moving even when half destroyed. Human engineers assumed every ship would be hit. So they planned for it. Weapons were adjusted, not for precision, but for reliability. Systems were simplified. Anything unnecessary was removed. If it could break, it was redesigned. If it could fail, it was replaced. Across Earth, soldiers trained differently this time. Not for conquest. Not for medals. Not for return. They trained to stand still under fire. They trained to fight while cut off. To operate with no support. To make decisions without orders. One commander said it plainly. You will not be rescued. You will not be reinforced. You will not be remembered if this fails. No one left. Humanity did not select only its best. It selected those who understood loss. Veterans who had seen cities burn. Pilots who had lost friends in training accidents. Medics who had held dying hands too many times. They were not fearless. They were prepared. Meanwhile, alien observers grew confused. Human fleets continued to grow, but not in ways that made sense. Ships did not group tightly. They spread out. Small formations. Independent units. Where is their main force? One alien analyst asked. There is no single core, another replied. That worried them. Species with weak discipline relied on large formations. Species with fear relied on numbers. Humanity relied on autonomy. In the Keeler system, the first enemy fleets arrived. They did not rush. They never did. They advanced slowly, confidently, like a storm that knew the land would drown eventually. Entire stars went dark as the enemy passed. Communication arrays vanished. Defense platforms were erased without effort. The Keeler watched helplessly. Then new signals appeared on their sensors. Human ships. Not many. Not enough. At least, not by galactic standards. The enemy noticed them too. For the first time, the ancient force reacted to humanity. Enemy vessels shifted formation. Weapons charged. Probes were launched. The probes sent data back. Hull strength, high. Shield patterns, unfamiliar. Energy output, inefficient, but stable. The enemy paused. That pause mattered. Human ships did not attack. They moved. They placed themselves between the enemy and the Keeler worlds. No warnings. No challenge. Just position. Alien observers watched in silence. What are they doing? Someone whispered. They are blocking the path, another said. But they cannot stop them. That was true. Everyone knew it. Even the humans. Inside one human ship, a young officer watched enemy weapons lock onto their hull. Orders, he asked. The commander answered calmly. Hold position. But sir. I know. Enemy fire struck. Human shields flared, then weakened. Hull plates burned. Systems failed. Still, the ship did not move. Other human ships took hits meant for the first. Then more hits. Then more. The enemy advanced, but slower now. Each step forward cost time. Each shot fired met resistance. And something strange happened. The enemy began adjusting. Learning. So did humanity. Human weapons adapted mid-fight. Frequencies changed. Tactics shifted. Ships that should have been destroyed kept functioning. Not winning. But not dying fast enough either. Far across the galaxy, laughter stopped. Observers leaned closer to their screens. "This is impossible," one said. "They should already be gone." "They are not trying to win," another replied slowly. "They are trying to buy time." In the Keeler Council chamber, the elder finally understood. Humans were not there to save the day. They were there to make sure the day lasted longer. And for the first time, fear spread, not among the weak, but among those who believed humanity would break first. Because the galaxy was about to learn a dangerous truth. Humans do not fight to survive. They fight so others can. The galaxy had seen war before. It had seen fleets clash like storms. It had seen stars cracked open and planets burned to ash. Fear was not new to the stars. But this feeling was different. This was not panic. This was unease. As more human ships arrived, observers began to notice something deeply wrong. Human fleets did not rush. They did not celebrate arrival. They did not even acknowledge the enemy. They simply filled space. Dark shapes slid out of jump points with perfect spacing. No bright colors. No glowing insignias. No symbols of pride or identity. Just cold metal. Alien analysts zoomed in on the ships. They expected sharp angles, elegant curves, or cultural markings. They found none. Human ships looked unfinished. Heavy. Scarred before battle even began. Some hulls still showed old damage that had never been repaired, only reinforced. These vessels were not designed to look powerful, one observer said quietly. They were designed to survive damage, another replied. That was when the fear began to grow. The enemy fired again. This time, the volleys were stronger. Coordinated. Meant to break the line. Human ships were hit. Some exploded. No retreat followed. More human ships moved forward to replace them. No hesitation. No reaction. Just replacement. In the Keeler system, civilians watched the battle through distant sensors. Many covered their eyes. Others wept openly. The humans were dying. Everyone could see that. But something felt wrong. Human losses did not slow them. They did not break formation. They did not scatter. They did not send distress calls. Instead, human ships kept adjusting. Shield patterns changed mid-attack. Weapon ranges shifted. Enemy tactics stopped working as expected. They are learning in real time, an alien commander said, disbelief in his voice. No, another replied. They planned for this. Human command channels were silent to outsiders, but inside them, communication was constant and calm. No shouting. No panic. Only short updates. Section 3 compromised. Rerouting power. Hold another 30 seconds. 30 seconds mattered. Each delay allowed evacuations. Each moment saved more lives. Each human ship destroyed bought time the enemy could not replace. The enemy noticed this too. They changed strategy. Instead of pushing forward, they focused fire. One ship at a time. Maximum damage. Fast kills. The tactic worked. Human ships began to fall faster. And still, they did not retreat. Alien observers were no longer laughing. They were silent. What kind of species accepts this level of loss? One whispered. The answer came not in words, but in behavior. Human ships began doing something no one expected. They rammed. When weapons failed, when engines burned out, human ships altered course and slammed directly into enemy vessels. Not randomly. Precisely. Targeting key systems. Disabling propulsion. Breaking formations. Suicide maneuvers. The galaxy froze. That is insanity, someone said. No, another replied softly. That is intent. The enemy slowed. Not because it feared death, but because this behavior was unfamiliar. No retreat signals. No surrender patterns. No negotiation attempts. Only resistance. Humanity had become a wall. Not unbreakable, but relentless. Inside one damaged human ship, alarms screamed. Hull breaches spread. Life support flickered. The captain stood steady. "How long?" a crew member asked. 2 minutes, the captain replied. "We won't make it." "I know." The crew stayed. When the ship finally detonated, it took 2 enemy vessels with it. Observers recorded the event. They replayed it. Again. 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 Across the galaxy, military doctrines quietly changed. Because for the first time, a truth became clear. Humanity was not fighting to win this battle. They were fighting to change the enemy's math. Every loss was acceptable, if it saved another species. Every sacrifice was calculated. This was not rage. This was not pride. This was duty. In the Keeler Council chamber, the elder watched the battle with trembling hands. "They are dying for us," he whispered. "Yes," an officer replied. "And they never asked if we deserved it." More human fleets continued to arrive. Older ships. Newer designs. Even civilian retrofits converted for war. The enemy finally did something rare. It hesitated. That hesitation spread fear faster than any weapon. Because if an ancient force that had erased civilizations was now uncertain, then humanity was no longer a joke. They were no longer weak. They were something worse. They were a species willing to stand in front of extinction. And not move. The battle did not end. It spread. What began as a defense of one dying system turned into a line of fire across space. The enemy adapted quickly, as it always did. Stronger weapons. Tighter formations. Faster strikes. This was the war no species had survived before. Entire civilizations had faced this enemy and vanished. Their names remained only as footnotes in forgotten archives. Now, humanity stood in its path. And paid the price. Human losses climbed fast. Ships burned. Signals cut off mid-sentence. Names were logged and never spoken aloud. Still, the line held. Human command did not lie to itself. They knew they could not win head-on. So they changed the war. Instead of meeting the enemy everywhere, they chose where to fight. Human fleets split into smaller groups, forcing the enemy to chase them into unstable space. Near pulsars. Inside gravity wells. Around debris fields left by earlier destroyed worlds. Places no sane fleet would enter. Humans entered anyway. Alien observers watched in disbelief as human ships used space itself as a weapon. Enemy targeting failed. Formations broke. Momentum slowed. "They are bleeding us slowly," an enemy strategist reported. "This is inefficient for them, but costly for us." Costly enough. On one human vessel, power dropped to emergency levels. Weapons offline. Engines damaged. "Orders?" the pilot asked. The commander checked the tactical map. "We stay. But we can't fight. That's not our job anymore." The ship stayed in place, broadcasting false signals, drawing enemy fire away from evacuation corridors. It was destroyed minutes later. The corridors stayed open. Human medics worked non-stop. They treated alien wounded first. Human soldiers waited silently while hands bled and bones broke. "Why them first?" a young medic asked. "Because they didn't choose this," the senior medic replied. Across the galaxy, something unexpected happened. Other species began to move. At first, just observers offering data. Then supply routes. Then medical ships staying just behind human lines. Not to fight. To support. Humanity had done what no speech or treaty ever had. They inspired trust. The enemy noticed. It changed tactics again. This time, it targeted civilians directly. Keeler cities burned. Refugee convoys were attacked. The message was clear. Surrender, or watch everyone die. The Keeler Council broke. We must call them back, one member cried. We cannot let them die for us. The elder shook his head. They knew this risk before they came. But this is slaughter. Yes, the elder replied softly. And they are still standing. Human command received the reports. Civilian casualties confirmed. Evacuations compromised. A decision had to be made. Human fleets pulled back. Observers gasped. Are they retreating? Someone asked. No, another replied. They're repositioning. Human ships formed a new line, closer to the Keeler worlds. Closer than safety allowed. Close enough that enemy weapons would hit humans first. A shield made of bodies and steel. Enemy fire rained down. Human ships absorbed it. Some vanished instantly. Others limped on, barely functional, still transmitting targeting data until the last second. Inside one command center on Earth, a quiet voice spoke. How many left? Enough. That's not a number. It's the truth. The enemy pressed harder. Then something changed. Human weapons began hitting more accurately. Enemy formations broke faster. Response times slowed. Humanity had learned. They always did. They adapted not through perfection, but through survival. The enemy made a mistake. It assumed humans would run out of will before resources. It was wrong. Humanity had fought itself for centuries. They had learned how to endure long wars. Ugly wars. Wars where victory felt meaningless. They had learned how to keep going when hope was gone. That was their true weapon. In the final hours of the battle, the enemy began withdrawing. Not fully. Just enough. Testing. Probing. Fear crept into their calculations. Because this war was supposed to be easy. And now. It was costing them. In the Keeler Council chamber, alarms fell silent. The first quiet moment in many cycles. They're pulling back, an officer whispered. The elder closed his eyes. Human fleets held position. They did not chase. They did not celebrate. They waited. Because humanity knew something the enemy did not. This war was not over. But it would never be the same again. The enemy did not return. At first, no one trusted the silence. Scanners stayed active. Weapons remained charged. Human fleets held their positions, damaged but unbroken. Some ships had lost engines. Others had no weapons left. Many were held together by repairs that should not have worked. Still, they stayed. Hours passed. Then days. The ancient enemy faded back into deep space, leaving behind wreckage, broken gravity fields, and something far more dangerous to them. A lesson. For the first time in recorded history, the enemy had been stopped. Not destroyed. Not defeated in glory. But denied. Across the Keeler system, survivors emerged from shelters. Cities were scarred. Skies were dark with debris. But they were alive. Because humanity had stood in front. Human rescue teams moved immediately. They did not wait for thanks. They did not ask for permission. Medical ships docked with alien stations. Human medics treated species they had never seen before. Different shapes. Different biology. Same pain. Human engineers helped rebuild power grids. Cleared orbital debris. Shared food supplies without negotiation. When Keeler officials finally approached Human Command, they brought gifts. Resources. Technology. Political support. The Human commander listened quietly. Then refused. "We didn't come for payment," he said. "Then why?" the elder asked, his voice shaking. The commander looked at the damaged system around them. "Because when the call came," he replied, "we knew what it meant to be alone." The galaxy watched everything. Recordings spread fast. Not edited. Not dramatized. Raw footage of human ships holding the line. Human crews staying at their posts. Ships ramming enemies to protect evacuation routes. Commentary changed. The same voices that once laughed now fell silent. Military academies rewrote their doctrine files. A new term appeared in classified briefings. Human containment strategy, non-viable. Because humans did not retreat when logic said they should. They did not surrender when loss was guaranteed. They did not fight for conquest. They fought for time. And time was enough. In the months that followed, something strange happened. When distant systems detected threats, they did not call the great empires. They did not call ancient alliances. They sent signals toward one small yellow star. Earth. Humanity never announced a protector role. The galaxy assigned it to them anyway. Human fleets returned home slowly. Quietly. With fewer ships than they left with. No victory parades waited for them. No crowds. No songs. Just families. Just silence. Just memory. Names were added to walls. Not carved in gold. Just listed. Rank. Ship. Final position. Humanity mourned briefly. Then rebuilt. Because that was what humans did. Far beyond known space, the enemy observed. It did not hate humanity. It studied them. And it reached a conclusion it had never reached before. Some species fight to survive. Some fight to rule. Humans fight so others don't have to. The galaxy would never forget that lesson. Not because humans demanded it. But because extinction itself had tried to erase them. And failed.